And welcome back. Well, these days, kids are using texting, Snapchat, and FaceTime to keep up to date with their friends. Unfortunately, this new technology is getting in the way of face-to-face interactions with parents.
Yeah, it's important to have a strong relationship with your kids, especially as they grow older. And today we are joined by Dr. Mazius and Carole Mazius to give us some tips on how to stay connected to your kids. Great to see both of you.
Thank you for having us.
It's funny because now that all three of my kids have phones, I feel like in some ways I'm more connected than ever. And then in other ways, I'm sure you hear this from every parent that you talk to, less connected.
Absolutely.
It's weird.
Yeah. You know, I think cell phones really are kind of a mixed bag because it's so easy to talk to your kids, except of course when they don't respond and say they turned it off or put it somewhere.
Oh, that's when the battery dies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's another common, you know,
recently.
response when they're out and maybe doing things they shouldn't be doing. But the downside of it is that the communication is brief. So it's not really like this, you know, where you're talking, you're looking at each other, you're, you know, connecting on a more deep level, which you can't do all the time, but with cell phones, it's probably impossible to do.
Yeah.
How do you describe temperament and how that relates to parenting? How does that kind of fit into all this?
Well, I think I look at temperament as sort of like your personality. So I think everybody, adult and kids, they all have different personalities. And so when you're relating to your kid, you have to sort of have their temperament in mind. So you're thinking about things that they like, the way that they relate to their surroundings and the environment, if they're shy, if they're more outgoing. And then it's important to cater your parenting the way that you're treating them around the way that they're reacting with the environment.
And I think that's huge too, because especially if you have more than one child, for me, I notice each one of the three are very different. And I think it's a good point that you raised. Some things that work with one of them doesn't work for the other. And so really understanding how to connect with them or attach is important. And let's talk about attachment and how it relates to parenting.
So, you know, just very quick, if you don't mind, just to go back to temperament for a moment, it's really, you know, it's a fairly old concept, not ancient, it's in the came from like the 1970s. But, you know, you're right, every child has a different temperament. Temperament is sort of like, you know, just everybody's temperament is unique, and some kids we know from early on as babies, like when I meet with parents and I get a developmental history, I always ask, you know, what was your child like as a baby? And some parents will say, easy. You know, it was a breeze. He or she was always smiling, easy to soothe. And then there are some parents who say, you know, infancy was a nightmare. My child was impossible to soothe, up all night. So temperament starts from early on, and it really kind of translates into a concept called personality. And everybody's personality is different. And whether or not your child has a easy to attach or easy to attach to temperament or difficult temperament, you know, sort of like drives the attachment process.
Okay. So how does attachment play in? And is it good? Is a strong one bad? Where do you want it to kind of fall on the spectrum?
You want to have a healthy attachment with your child. So you want to give them the confidence to go out into the world and be independent, but to know that they have a secure attachment at home. So to know that they have someone who's supporting them, someone who will be there for them, someone who's giving them confidence. And I think that's where attachment comes into play, because a healthy attachment, hopefully as your child's young and you start to grow your attachment, that will help them feel confident. So that will help them go out into the world and to feel good doing so.
It's kind of interesting. It's like if the two temperaments match, yours and your child's, attachment is easy. And sometimes with our kids that is the case, but you know, many times with our kids it's not the case, or it changes, you know, as they grow older. When they're infants, you know, they may be easy. When they're toddlers, they may be a little more difficult. When they're in elementary school, once again, you know, they may or may not be easy. It kind of depends on how they do in school. And then when they're adolescents, that's the challenge.
Yeah,
for many of us parents, you know, it's the challenge.
Yeah, and I think that's when sometimes attachment is the most important, because they're going through a lot of changes. They're starting to make choices and be independent for the first time. So what about this attachment? I'm wondering what it promotes in kids and how parents maybe can work on that connection or attachment with kids, especially if the temperaments are not matched and it's not easy.
Yeah. You want to jump in? We were kind of talking because I just said to Carole that she's, you know, she's clearly younger than I am, and so her memories, I think, of being kind of like a teenager and attaching to us, you know, are fresher. So what do you think?
I'm still 28, so I'm not a teenager anymore. But I think that as you are a teenager, when you're younger, it's important to find things that your kids like to do, and whether you like to do them or not, to do those things with your kids. So if you have a daughter, she likes to shop, and take her shopping. Even if you don't like to, it's a good way to bond. And then going back to your first point with cell phones, it's hard, but they're all around us now. So telling your kid you can't be on your phone when we're together at all, it's just not a good idea, because that's what's around us now. That's what's relevant. That's what kids are interested in. So you can sometimes use your phone more or less in a way to kind of connect. Have your kids show you like what you're looking at on Instagram, on Facebook, like connect that way by
be
using
part of
your
it
phone.
rather than just dismissing it.
Right, try to be part of it. And then also that might help your kid to be more open with you rather than them sitting on their phone and hiding it from you. They might want to show you more what's going on, or look at this picture, or look at what this person posted. That's kind of a really good way to bond too, I think.
Well, it's it reminds me of it was either a commercial or a movie or something I saw where it was the father getting really upset with the child who's on the phone the whole time, and just like eventually like put it away. And then all of a sudden saw what the posts were, and the posts were basically the child Snapchatting and taking pictures of the family saying this is the best time I've ever had with my family. But that disconnect of how parents' generation, our generation, connect face to face and you know, visual contact, and kids sort of do this different sort of attachment these days through almost this disconnect that we feel, but they're truly still sometimes in it. I think it's important to acknowledge that there's different ways of communicating. I want to, we're out of time, but people can find more about your article by visiting metroparent.com, metroparentmagazine.com, and they can find you under, again, the name of your articles are under Parenting from the Inside.
Parenting from the Inside.
Perfect. So that's how you can find it. Search under that. You can find more from the Mazius that way, and it's cute. You two are father-daughter, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I think you have a healthy attachment.
Oh, thank you. We think we do too.
That's awesome.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.